Hello and welcome back to my science podcast. This is Lab Rats. Welcome back. This is my forensic science podcast number 3. And my name is Mia Mir and I will be your host for today. As you can see, my co-host that is normally here with me is not here with me today. He couldn't be here with me just for a series of events. And also, I don't know if you guys can tell, but we are in a different location. And we are in the comfort of my bedroom right now because it is currently too cold outside to go and film out there. It is currently 5:35 p.m. on November 10th, and it is now just way too cold to go outside where I live at this time. So we are filming this podcast today inside of my room. So a little different, but it's still nice and comfortable in here. And I am sorry if out of nowhere throughout the podcast I start coughing. I have been really sick this week and my voice may sound a little bit raspy. So let's get into this podcast. So today's topic is my learning module 2 for my integrated math and science class. So the title of the module is How Science Works. So when you think about how science works, it's really the scientific method, which is step-by-step processes for performing scientific investigations, because science is processed and shaped by different people and events. So going into this podcast, we are talking about an assignment that I had to do based off the module and like what I did during the assignment. So let's get into that. So today I'm going to be talking about my assignment number 4. Sorry, I almost threw up a 3 there. But assignment number 4. And so what my assignment was about was it was a 3-hole bottle problem. So basically what the assignment was, let me go and pull up the assignment just so I could kind of figure it out. I do know most of it, but it was the 3-hole bottle problem. So you're probably asking, what does that mean? So in this assignment, we had to grab I think it's a 2-liter bottle. I can't exactly remember, but it's one of those big soda bottles, right? So it was this assignment was cut into, I want to say, 2 different sections, okay? So in the first section, you had to have the cap on, and you had to put 3 holes into the bottle. I wouldn't say cut, but put 3 holes into the bottle, okay? When you put the 3 holes into the bottle, you would put a piece of tape over each and every single one of them. And each part of the assignment, you had to take one off, and then you had to describe what would happen. So let's say you took the first one off, and you still let the bottom 2 of the holes in the bottle on, right? Then you would go ahead and write down what happened. So for this one, water flowed out, but water flowed out with like less velocity compared to as much as the middle and the bottom hole would, because it's on the top. So obviously there's not a lot of pressure that's pushing the water down to the bottom, right? So we would have to write stuff like that. So this helped me kind of realize how the process of science is worked, because each one is a different step. And basically it would just, how do I put this into words? Basically just describe different things that would happen during the experiment by one thing that's changed. So we try to figure out how removing one piece of tape from one hole and removing it from another hole can change the experiment. So the second part of the assignment was with the cap off. So the cap off, it's a little bit different just because now the water is really starting to go down because there's no air that's kind of holding it together. So the cap off, let's say you pulled the first tape off, it's coming out a little bit more, but it's still not as it's still not flowing with much force and velocity, because all the water is still at the bottom. Most of the water is still at the bottom and it's still at the top. So it's not coming out as much. But then when you removed the middle and the bottom hole, so much more water came out and it made a mess in my house. And then I had to clean it up. Okay, So the next part of my science podcast that I have to do is I have to find a case or a crime or just something that can relate to the learning module, right? So excuse me, I'm so sorry. Would be a crime in the case to the module. So I found one that I thought was really interesting and practically how they use the process of science and different steps to find out more about this case and basically just figure out who the suspect was in this case. So the case is the suspect arrested in string at least 10 stabbings attacks in Seattle. Wow, that's crazy. Okay, so about the case. So a man was arrested because of a connection with random stabbings within 2 days of Seattle. In Seattle, I'm so sorry. The stabbings took place on Friday afternoon in Seattle's Chinatown International District. The Thursday stabbings began with a woman who was 52 years old. She was found with multiple stab wounds. Another victim was an 32-year-old man who had been stabbed multiple times around 8 p.m. And also a 37-year-old man who had been stabbed multiple times in the back. On early Friday, the police had received a call about an assault from a 53-year-old man who had been bleeding from the neck. So this one took place on 2 different days. So this one took place on a Thursday and a Friday. So the first 3 that I had mentioned had happened on a Friday. And then the last one that I had mentioned happened on a Thursday. I'm sorry I did not input that there. But it did happen on a Thursday. So how I'm going to say that this is related to the learning module is the series of steps that the police had taken to figure out who the suspect was or bring someone in as a suspect, okay? For example, as in the news report said, they had followed a trail of blood using police dogs. So the trail had basically just taken them around to see what have kind of happened. I'm so sorry if you hear singing in the background. That is my brother. I'm so terribly sorry. The police reported descriptions of the suspect. Oh, I'm so sorry. I read that completely wrong. These are my notes. The people had described the suspect to the police. Also, a weapon that was found near the person who was arrested, and a weapon which was a knife that was lodged into one of the victims. They wasn't together, but it was found. So I just really think that this one had a lot to do with my learning module just because of the series of steps that they had to take in order to figure out who the suspect was. And all of my and my source for this specific crime and story is CBS News. So if you would like to go and find more about the story and maybe how you can relate to more how this can relate to the process of science, that's my news source. Well, that's my source. So yeah, this was my podcast. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching today's episode. I'll be back again for my 4th episode, maybe final, hopefully not, but my 4th episode, which will be talking about another learning module, I think. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good night, a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.